Good morning. It is Sven the Road God here. It is Sunday, August 9th, around 10 a.m. in the middle of a heat wave. Luckily, it's not over 100, but it's still in the low to mid 90s. A lot of watering. So let's do a walkthrough of the entire garden so we can just see the evolution of everything since the last one, and it's quite substantial. So this thing right here is goldenrod, but it hasn't flowered yet. The hops vine that I planted has really taken over that fake white tree. And it's in a container because I don't want hops in the ground. There's those patriotic petunias. And those white flowers are the garlic chives going to seed. And the long bean, black-eyed peas, is really producing well. Even the hyacinth bean, or lab, is putting out beans. It didn't make beans last year. I mean, it's not a perennial, but for whatever reason, the seed stock last year, or the conditions, didn't make beans. A lot of marigolds. Look at this sunflower. I don't know if we can see the head, the face. It's crazy big. This is the cucumber, one of many. A lot of them have petered out. See the gladiolas, what's left of it. Love the Mexican sunflower. And the portulaca. These are ice plant. There's one more right here. And there's one going out of the parking lot. It's crazy. The Chicago hardy fig. That's really taken off. It was a lot smaller last year. There's a Gare Bear, a daisy, an African daisy, wormwood. Tall verbena is just my favorite. This is crazy. The Cleome, which was in a different location. I've set out here now because it was crowding the walkway. Let's go Garcia tuberosa, butterfly weed, or otherwise known as milkweed. There's a purple flowering basil. Tall verbena in the back. That red flower is lobelia. As you can see, we got more tall verbena. And the lilac bush. And another lilac bush. And hibiscus. Pink perennial hibiscus. And this is a perennial lowered Baltimore hibiscus. I was gifted the seeds and I planted it earlier this year, and it's that big. That's a tropical hibiscus. I like that sunflower. I think that might be an evening sunflower. Canova. So the tag said long red cayenne, but that's not what I think of when I think of a long red cayenne. Luckily, I saved seeds from what I believe is the true long red cayenne, and that's this guy. Pencil thin, thin-walled, dries easily, great for making red pepper flakes. There we go with that Chicago Hardy. The red bucket is a crown of thorns, but it's not flowering. But the big story on Action News is the mega fig is not dead. You can see a couple of these sticks up here left from the original because it was that tall all the way across. I cut it all back, but I needed some dead sticks to hang from some tchotchke from. So anyhow, it's regaining its mega status, and it's loaded with figs, but will they ripen? I'd like to believe yes. And the elephant ear, the two of them. This one I purchased from Springdale Farms as a small plant, and these were bulbs from Home Depot. But let's step into the employee lounge really quick. Some boxes for tomato plants. There's the mega aloe. It's still recovering from, I put it out here. It always lives behind the fig tree, but there was no fig tree, so it got sunburnt. It's bouncing back, but now, since the fig is all leafed out, it's happy again. And there's an aquarium with a little aloe and a jade plant and an orchid that has never bloomed. There's much I'm not gonna be able to even show. There he goes. There's a lot of walking through, so you gotta watch the shorts. Mosquito plant. Cherry tree. Let's go in the cage. bird food. Bird bath. Spider plants. Some sort of giant weed. A mulberry tree. And basil. And tomatoes. And cucumbers. Mountain mint. Wow, look at that cucumber. Spider-Man is hiding behind it. Spider plant. Sambach jasmine. There's the jasmine. Cukes climbing up an apple tree. Cukes right here. Bell peppers. Coneflower, the back of Remus's head. A bunch of strawberry plants. Strawberry. Tomato plants petered out, so I did a replant and see what happens. This is a pretty terrible video. It's really hard to walk through and hold the camera. Everything is just so fully grown in. The wrong dahlia. This was supposed to be that black dahlia that I had planted for the last bunch of years, but it turned out to be that. It was packaged as the black dahlia, but it's not bad. Tiger lilies have come and gone. Hens and chicks. And the begonias are, I did not plant, but it's all right. Canova lily. Black-eyed Susans. Thanks to Leos. There's Remus. So, nasturtium and cherry tomatoes. Grapes. The cucumber that was in that tall cage was a Suyu Long. It is gone. It petered out. So I planted it some market more. We'll see if they produce fruit. But these are the dark star tomatoes. All the plants, they suffer from too much water, not enough water, because I have a full-time job. And this is a parking lot. And it gets like a lot hotter than whatever the real temperature is. So I do what I can. So I know all you gardeners with immaculate gardens are going, those plants look like crap. And you're right. But it's the space I have, the time I have, and I do my best. So these are all the new raspberry canes that grew this year. I've cut out all the older ones. There are still some blackberry canes that are fruiting canes. So when they're done fruiting, I'll cut out these canes, because these canes right here are the ones that have grown this year and will make fruit next year. So when I cut out these canes, the fruiting ones that are finished, I will tie up these in its place, and the cycle will continue for next year. These were the Stargazer lilies. They were just so amazing. Here's the crushed raspberry bush that I fell on last night. I tripped on something, fell backwards into this. My back landed on that bucket, which was full of water, but is now crushed by my body. And amazingly, I lived to tell the tale. There's a nice sunflower for you. And these tomatoes here were pretty shaded and they didn't really do much, but now that a lot of the older blackberry canes have been cut out and more light's coming in, these may prove to be a good later in the season deal. And just a billion basils everywhere. Strawberries. Ah. So again, this is I cut out the old canes. This is the cane that will make fruit next year. So a lot of the tomatoes, you know, they did that. All the brown leaves and funk. And I cut out as much as I could, and if it looked like it may still make a tomato that will be viable, then I left it alone to see where we go with it. Sage, cannot move. Dipladenia. So this is a back view of all that stuff we've looked at. The remnants of the Shasta daisy, purple osteospermum. I don't know why those apparent cucumbers are growing here where the sweet potato vines are, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully they're not melons or squashes. But the rosemary, all kinds of sage, tarragon, a cutting of the giant mega honey fig, and morning glories. There's Mrs. Remus, Remus's wife. And another crazy sunflower with a just ridiculous sunflower head on it. Eggplant. Ouch. This is what we call, I should label the video Hokey Gardening 101. So, knapweed, bachelor's buttons, Gerber daisies. Because they planted these in like early April. They've been through a lot. They made it. And that tickseed coreopsis, I don't know what this thing growing in the middle, but it was there when I bought the plant as a tiny thing. I thought it was part of the plant. Obviously not. It might be a gay feather. But whatever it is, we'll see what it does. And last year for Halloween, I put a pumpkin out here and it rotted. And a pumpkin is growing like I can't fit a pumpkin. So we'll see what happens with that. Mr. Goldfinch. Lemongrass. So the garden is deli, liquor store, and bakery themed because those are the businesses that share in the abundance. All this tall verbena just growing out of the parking lot naturally. It's like all this mint, it just grows out of the parking lot. There's the door basil over there. It does really good when you smack it with a door. Flowering lettuce. Hey, Sophia. Live Copa's chicken head. May she rest in peace. Yeah, I don't even know if I would watch this video. I already have turned it off by now. But I need it for myself. So I can, in the winter, come back to the garden. See it. And as I said, this isn't like winning any blue ribbons. But in my heart, it does. Look at that Durrani squash. That's gonna be dinner tonight. Too much shade here. The squashes aren't going crazy, but I mean, there was lettuce planted there and then a different kind of squash that didn't do bad. That was a whole wheelbarrow of collard greens. And I left one. These grew back from last year. They're black cherry tomatoes. And I really like them. And this is clematis that will bloom again in the fall. And blackberry. And you can see right here some fall gold raspberry. And just coneflower just goes nuts wherever it wants to. And we can get another look here at this crazy, ow, nothing like blackberry thorns in your face. This crazy sunflower head. Yeah, I'm gonna eat one. Sour. So the berries are growing in these containers, and they stretch out over the top and root back down in another container and grow out of that and stretch out over the top. And so they're big arches that go over the top of the garden of these berries. The thornless blackberry, which is this, as opposed to these, which are thorned blackberries. And I've already cut out all the canes that produced the blackberries this season. And these are all the canes that grew this year that are going to make next year's blackberries. And all kinds of hot peppers, habanero, poblano, ancho, what's left of a cucumber, plant, and this is a jalapeno that's growing in the shade that may not ever make a jalapeno. Ow. But we have the hot red cherry and the serrano, and this is called, it was called Ember. So I don't know. Parsley, let's get out of here. God, I'm already tired of making this video. Ow. Coreopsis. These were called teaspoon tomatoes. They're really little. Cherry tomatoes. They were called currant tomatoes, but when I first was introduced to them in the late 80s, it was a variety called teaspoon tomato. It was a little bit smaller and a little bit more novel. These are just undergrown cherry tomatoes. Strawberries in a strawberry pot, dill. But this, my friend Sandy gave me these seeds that a charity would send her packs of these seeds in hopes that she was going to continue to give them all of her money, which wouldn't have been a good idea. But it's like the March of Dimes sending you a dime. But anyway, this is Dwarf Cosmos. I think it's some sort of joke, because does it look like a dwarf? It's 17,489 and a half feet tall. It's no dwarf, but it's really awesome. And I mean, it's just like one of those things that this garden just evolves from contributions and just, I don't know, energy flows a certain way and the garden gets built. And this was one of those things. And it'll be here forever and ever because it's already self-seeding itself in all the pots. This was the gooseberry. It will be the gooseberry again. That right there, that tall looking thing, is a Jerusalem artichoke. We'll try to get in there amongst all these tomatoes. This guy, it's a sunchoke or a Jerusalem artichoke, and it will make some sort of sunflower type flower. More of the goldenrod and a long red cayenne, another one. More flowering lettuce. And beans with some sort of mosaic virus. I got a couple beans. I don't know, I think they're too close together. And planted this year is the butterfly bush. And if you watch the shorts, you'll see that it has attracted many pollinators, including butterflies. This is the dumpster. Nice. And the most recently planted basil with the cage from Steve-O. Thanks, bud. I love all this stuff. And the Rutgers tomato plant from my friend Marlene. Purple fragrant heliotrope. So I replanted some cukes to see if we'll get a home for them. And some California poppies. And there's some Tuscan kale and sweet potatoes in bags. And I just let them vine all throughout the garden because when it's time to harvest, you just cut all the vines back and you dump out the bucket and you've got your Beauregard sweet potatoes. Just like that. And this is cardinal basil. It makes a red flower. I probably forgot to call it out when I panned over it before because it's in several locations. And this is the Mega Kasha's basil. Rosemary, parsley. And this is the jalapeno from Marlene, who gave me the Rutgers tomato. And it's doing really well. This is a wineberry, which I had incorporated, and then I read that they can spread virus to other types of raspberries. So we're not sure where this is going to end up. But this used to be a red potato thing, which if you watch the shorts, they were harvested. But this is a Durrani squash, and this I'm expecting to, for the rest of the season, heavily produce the squash, which I have yet to see. We saw that one Durrani, but like getting one zucchini every 7 days, that ain't how it's supposed to work. You know, I just want to walk back really quick and show you the cardinal basil, because it really doesn't even look like a basil. Well, it does, but I mean, I figure it's some kind of cross between a Thai basil and another type of basil, because it has a licoricey smell. It smells exactly like a Thai basil, but and the ice plant flowers are starting to open. So anyway, I apologize for taking up that much of your life. And I don't even know if I'm talking to anybody, because like I said, most people have bailed by now. Because this is just too indulgent. But if you have sunlight and water and nutrient and soil, or buckets of potting soil, or the combination of soil and potting soil, because those fig trees, they're in dirt. They ain't in no pot. But you can have an urban garden called PHILSHIRE Farms, thanks to Kosh's and the Spirit Shop and Phil's Deli and Market. This is Spend the Road God, signing off. We'll see you next time.